Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to have you all here in the video and out there watching us. Sparkling Wine Month has been my favorite wine of the month so far. Its history is so rich, full of twists and turns, from accidentally discovering it when bottles started exploding in cellars, to the Champagne region of France going through 2 world wars and the eventual fight to protect the Champagne name and its brand. It is truly a movie-worthy tale, and I'm thankful the wine found its way over here for us to enjoy. What's also incredibly entertaining is how it's made. There are 5 different methods, and today we're going to learn about 3 of the methods that you'll see on the Cayuga Lake Wine Trail, in addition to the wines it produces. First up, I'm going to introduce Hazmere Winery. They have a traditional method, so take it away.
Awesome. Good morning.
Julia Hoyle, the winemaker here. I'm Cameron Hosmer. I'm the co-owner, along with my wife, Maren. And we've been making traditional methods, sparkling wine since, probably for about 25 years. And why do we make it? Because we are in a region that produces grapes that are quite suitable for the product. And what that means is that the grapes that we grow, Chardonnay, Cayuga White, are suited for this area, or are suited for the production of sparkling wine because they retain a lot of natural acidity and abundant floral fruit flavors, so, and aromas. So, we're in the neighborhood. Let's make it.
Yeah. And what we have this month for Sparkling Wine Month is our Blanc de Noirs. So 100% Pinot Noir, and it's a Champagne clone, 459. And just like Cameron mentioned, you have high acid, which is great. You want that base for sparkling wine, but really great flavor development without incredibly high sugars. So you can get these finished products that are 11.5, maybe 12% alcohol, super refreshing, floral, fruity, and just perfect to pop open with, someone you love or your family, whomever. In brief, our production method, I do all of our base wine in neutral French barrels that are over 10 years old. I lees stir them. It's a small production level, usually 3-4 barrels. And then we clean it up before secondary fermentation, which I do believe Jeff is going to go into a little more detail about. So we clean it up before our secondary fermentation, put it in bottle. We wait, at least 18 months or so, disgorge it, and then release it.
So the one of the things that I particularly like about making sparkling wine is that you do it early. And that, every grape grower wants to get the grapes off early. That's what we want. We've worked hard for a whole year to produce these grapes, and they're hanging out there, and every day the clock's ticking. So as sooner you can get that off, the better. And particularly with Pinot Noir, it's very fragile variety, and it can go from really, really great to not so great quickly. So the sooner we can get it off, a portion of our Pinot Noir to go to sparkling wine, that's some Pinot Noir we don't have to worry about anymore. So that it takes some of the worry out of the game, and that's nice. Plus, you got a great product, and it's fun to do.
Yep.
It really is.
It's a lot of fun.
It's a great start for the season too. We get our feet wet for the vintage with sparkling wine, and make sure all the things are working properly and the team is working together, and it's a wonderful way to start.
Yep. So if you come into Hazmere this month, we are running a special. We have 3 different sparkling wines. 2 are method champenoise. 1 is carbonated. Mix and match. Buy 3 bottles, you get your regular 5% off plus $5 off. If you buy a full case, I've been told you get a free champagne stopper as well.
We make a Blanc de Noir, and our other sparkling wine is made with Cayuga White, which is a great variety for that. And you'll learn more about that later from Lucas, because I think that their product is similar. And like I say, those varieties are quite suited for sparkling wine. And we also have a forest carbonated Riesling, which is just sort of fun. Yep. And that is a sparkling wine in its own right.
Thank you guys so much. I'm going to take it over to Jeff. He is going to go more into the traditional method. Take it away.
Good morning. Good morning, guys. Glad to be here. I'm Jeff from Lucas Vineyards. We do use a non-traditional grape. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. It's Cayuga white grape that Cornell developed. We had quite a bit of it planted in the 1980s, and we were the first vineyard that had a Cayuga white commercial wine produced from their grapes. And here we were at Lucas with lots of Cayuga white grapes and trying to figure out what we were going to do with all of them. And one of the things we came up with was that we were going to make sparkling wine from it. And some of the reasons that we picked that were similar to what Tunker and Julia were mentioning. It's a early ripening variety, we usually pick Cayuga white at fairly low bricks anyway. So we pick it early in the season. It has beautiful natural acidity, and picked early in the year, it usually highlights these beautiful citrus fruit flavors. So for that reason, we thought it would be an ideal candidate for making a sparkling wine. And when did that all start for Lucas? It was 1989 that we made our first vintage of extra dry sparkling wine. And those early versions of it, I thought were delicious. And when we tried some years later, they still tasted good. So that was how we got started with it. A lot of the rest of the talk I'm going to talk about is like how we actually make it. And for us, we pick the grapes early in the year. We bring them in and treat it somewhat like we would a regular harvest. We ferment it to dryness. So we have this wine sitting in its tank. It's going to sit in there after it ferments. We're going to keep the sulfur levels low on it. And we're going to stabilize the wine over the winter. And usually later in the spring to in the summer of the year after we pick the grapes, then we're going to look at doing our secondary fermentation. So what is this secondary fermentation all about? So basically we take a certain amount of wine and we start in a small little kettle. We'll add a mixture of sugar, yeast, water, and wine. And each day over 8 days, we'll build that up and add more to it. On the 8th day, we'll take this kettle of yeast wine mixture and we'll transfer it into our big tank and we'll pump it around all day. We'll put a riddling aid, which we'll explain a little bit later. And it's gonna be mixing as we're bottling it. And the reason we're doing that is we're trying to keep those yeast cells so that every bottle has lots of yeast in it as it's gonna go through its fermentation. So how is it different than when we just plow things through our regular bottling line? It's much slower. We use like an old 6-spout filler, fill the bottles by hand. And they go in what looks like a traditional sparkling wine bottle. It has a punt on it. It's reinforced so that it can deal with the pressure inside this bottle. And it also has a crown cap on it. So as we fill the bottles, we stick a bedula. It's a little plastic thing that fits into the neck of the bottle. And then we put that crown cap on, which for people watching is very similar to like your beer cap you're going to have at home. It just locks on the thing. From that point, we stick them into wooden boxes where they lay on their side like this. And the wine will finish fermenting in this bottle where it will become carbonated and it's going to get beautiful tiny bubbles. And again, the bottle is designed to take that carbonation. Well, do we start drinking it a couple of weeks later? No, but the wine will go through and finish fermenting in a couple of weeks. So it actually, many times, the sugar will be all converted to alcohol in a couple of weeks, but we do just leave it on its side like this. At Lucas, with this particular wine, our extra dry, usually around 1 year. And during that time, why are we leaving it around sitting like that? It's on it horizontal And as it finishes its fermentation, the dead yeast cells will settle into the bottom of the bottle. And with it on its side like this, it has tons of surface area that dead yeast is touching the wine. And that's going to impart flavor and mouthfeel to the wine. And so that's kind of the benefit. And the more time that you leave it on its side like that, the more the yeast is going to impact the flavor of the wine. So with a fresh citrusy sparkling wine like our extra dry, fairly short period of time, usually around 1 year. So, okay, the year's up, let's get that stuff ready to sell. So we take these bottles, we put them into a riddling crate, take them over, we shake them up, put them into a riddling crate. This looks like completely milky right now. So then at that point, we're gonna go through and shake these bottles every day. We have a big box on it that pivots around, and it holds 25 cases, which is 300 bottles of this wine. And then we do that every day for a couple of weeks. And slowly the yeast will settle into the neck of the bottle. And I'm trying to go fast, Kathy. Then we go, the next thing we do is we freeze the neck of the bottle. This is, for me, it's one of the most exciting things. We love disgorging sparkling wine. The process is we take them and we chill them in a walk-in cooler. Then we put them into a neck chiller where we freeze the sediment in the bottom of the bottle. Then you pop them over, liquid drops down. There's a frozen plug of sediment, which we pop off and it expels out of the bottle. And I love doing that, it's a lot of fun. And then the wine gets a finishing dosage added to it, which can either be some of the base wine, the base juice that you started with when you made the wine, or it can be made from a mixture of sugar and water, super saturated solution. And what do you add that for? It just is a small amount to balance the wine. And that at that time, we also add sulfur to the wine again to protect the wine. It gets a cork, a wire hood, and it gets labeled soon thereafter, and it's ready to enjoy. The wine itself, I love Cayuga White for sparkling wine. We've had great success over the years with it. Tunker said when the Hosmers got into sparkling wine, I've got an interesting story that I think how Hosmer got involved in the sparkling wine was because one of his old tasting room managers used to come to Lucas and buy our extra dry. And so he started making it himself. All right, is that a true story, Tunker? And but for me, no, Cayuga White, very beautiful citrus flavors. I love that pop. For us at Lucas over the years, we've gotten some great awards for this. Because of that acidity that's in the Cayuga White grapes, it shows very well in wine competitions and when it gets rated. And it's been a great grape for us to make sparkling wine out of. Cheers. Beautiful green apple fruit flavors. I just love it. It's what my wife and I, it's one of our kind of guilty pleasures. We love having sparkling wine. And at Lucas for the sparkling wine month, we're doing 15% off of we have our extra dry. That's the one that I talked about today. Our 40th anniversary Blanc de Noirs. And that's another traditional method made from 100% Chardonnay. And then we have a forced carbonated raspberry blue splash. And I'll just quickly say, what is the difference between this and the tank method? The tank method can make some beautiful wines. The bubble quality is different. And we believe that those steps that we talked about today make a better quality wine, and that's why we do it. We also make the other kind because customers love it, but we really believe in this process. We have a lot of labor in it, and it's truly a labor of love. It's something we love to drink and we love to make. And that was it for me.
Thank you so much. I think it tastes like a labor of love as well. We're going to skip all the way to a really different method. We're going to go over to Ian. Tell us about your Pet-Nat.
Hi, thank you. I'm Ian Barry. I'm one of the winemakers at Buttonwood Grove, along with Sue Passmore. And I'm going to talk about Riesling Pet-Nat today. So Pet-Nat, or Pet-Nat Natural, is another method of producing sparkling wine. Sometimes it's called Methode Ancienne or Methode Ancestral or Ancient Method, Ancestral Method. It actually predates the traditional Methode Champenoise that Jeff talked about by about 600 years, they figure. So normally this was done in the Loire Valley in France is kind of where it originated. And essentially it's a very simple way of making sparkling wine, where instead of putting it through a secondary fermentation and going through the disgorging and all that, you just literally just bottle the wine towards the end of fermentation, and it finishes fermentation in the bottle. So as a result, Pet-Nats tend to be a little cloudy. They can have a little bit of sediment in the bottom. I think you can actually see that in the camera there. So rather than disgorge it, we just kind of embrace the fact that there might be a little bit of sediment in the bottle. And our Buttonwood Grove, this actually just got 91 points at the New York Wine Classic and got a gold medal. So very, very popular wine for us here. And one of the nice things about it too is that, you know, rather than spend time in tirage like a classic sparkling wine, it can be very quick to market. So these are bottled, you know, usually right in the middle of harvest. We kind of all have to stop what we're doing, and the Pet-Nat will be ready to bottle. So we got to spend a day or half a day bottling Pet-Nat and shifting gears. But the nice thing is by spring, it's a sparkling wine that's ready to go. And because of the way it's made, they can be a little rustic, and each bottle can actually be a little different. So sometimes you'll open a bottle and it's like very bubbly, and then the next one you open is like maybe a little less bubbly, but it's always fun. It's a good summer wine, good picnic wine. And I'll open a bottle now and see what we're doing. So there's quite a bit of fizz in this one. And it's always good to chill these very well before you open them, because the sediment can kind of react with the bubble and make it very almost a little volatile. So it's very good to chill it down and open it slowly. And this one has a nice bubble to it. And yeah, just like a lovely fresh aroma, a little bit yeasty note to it. I should mention here at Buttonwood Grove, we do several different types of sparkling wine. We do a forest carbonated Riesling and a forest carbonated Cayuga blend, as well as traditional method sparkling wine. And for Sparkling Wine Month, we have a really good deal going on, 25% off 6 or more bottles. So really good opportunity to like stock up on all the different types of sparkling wine.
Thank you so much for sharing. You guys should definitely swing out to Buttonwood and watch them open the bottle. The camera doesn't really do it justice. Last but certainly not least, I'm going to introduce the marketing team from Montezuma. They're going to tell us about the forced carbonation that you've been hearing so much about.
Hi there, I'm Olivia.
And I'm Kelly.
Yeah, we're the marketing team for Montezuma Winery. Today we are featuring our Pink Swan, which is a forced carbonated wine. So the forced carbonation method is the only non-fermentative method of effervescence. And we can't technically say sparkling on the label. You have to say carbonated because of this. So our Pink Swan, it's a blend of Bianca, Niagara, and raspberry. And it has a residual sugar of about 8.5%. And it's a grape raspberry wine.
Yes, so wines that are destined for forced carbonation are produced in the same manner as a still wine. They go through fermentation, stabilization, the filtration, etc., just like a still wine does. When the wine is ready for carbonation, It's sterile filtered into a special reinforced tank called a bright tank. And so the bright tank is outfitted with a carbonation stone, which allows CO2 to slowly be diffused into the wine. So once that's filtered into the bright tank, the tank is sealed and then chilled to near freezing temperature. And as the gases dissolve into liquids more efficiently through or at colder temperatures. So after the wine reaches the desired level of carbonation, these wines are then packaged via a counter pressure filler. So that's a special bottling unit that pressurizes empty bottles in order to prevent the escape of the carbonation at the packaging. So that's a hand bottling unit.
Right, so we've been doing it by hand, but actually this past year we bought a automated pressure filler as well as a larger capacity bright tank. So we're super excited to be able to produce some more forced carbonated wines and more of a variety as well. We do have a few other forced carbonated wines in addition to our Pink Swan. So we also have our Bubbly Bog, which is a carbonated cranberry grape wine. We have our Rhubarb, which is a sparkling, or Pintail, which is a sparkling rhubarb wine, and our Fat Frog Red Bubbly, which is a sparkling Concord wine. Yeah.
So this month, our Pink Swan is 20% off, and that is available in store and online.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's it for us.
Thank you guys so much. What's neat about forced carbonation is that it allows the sweeter wines to be bubbles, because if you added sugar to the others, it would probably just explode in the bottle. Again, thank you guys so much for taking us into the world of wine production. Thank you to the viewers for sticking with us through this. Personally, learning about all of this makes the bubbles even more delicious to me. And don't forget, there's still a couple more weeks to take advantage of the deals you heard about today. Check out CayugaWineTrail.com for all the current offers, hours, reservation policies. Until next month when we taste Sauvignon, cheers.